Welcome to Life in the Music Business, a master class with Professor Pooch and your host, BACEFACE.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Life in the Music Business with Professor Pooch. Here at Life in the Music Business, we're all about self-empowerment for the music business entrepreneurs. Today with me, as always, is Mr. Pooch. How you doing tonight?
Tonight it's afternoon, which is very strange for us. God,
It
we
is.
usually shoot at midnight. This is like 5 in the afternoon, which means I've been awake for 2 hours. Yeah, Professor Pooch Standard Time and stuff like that. So how's it going with you?
Everything's good over here. Just been staying busy. Got back from New York the other day, and I've just been running sessions and just getting the studio going. I finally picked a name for my studio, getting all the branding and that type of stuff done. So there's a lot of cool stuff to look forward to.
Oh boy, you talk about branding and stuff. I have this client who had to rush and put all these CDs out. Well, she didn't put them out. She ordered them and stuff like that and didn't check that the name she wanted to use wasn't already taken.
Yeah, that's a big
So
one.
talk about a mess because the name she wanted, and right away I figured, wait a minute, somebody must have that name, the name of a group she wanted to use. And yeah, I mean, it was a very popular group. It just wasn't in her style of music, so she didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And man, you got to do checks. So I sent her to my trademark dude, and he said it right away, and I looked it up, and I saw it right away. And man, be careful before you start pushing your name out there. By the way, the weirdest one I ever had was years ago, and I forget what it was, but there were actually 6 groups around the world with the same exact name.
Wow. And that can be
Yes.
complicated, especially when they're not in the US. You know what I mean? Anywhere else of the world, it's kind of,
Well, before the internet, people couldn't check this stuff out.
yeah, unless you hired an attorney or a
Yeah,
trademark person.
exactly. Exactly. But this one, I just put it in Google, and
Yeah.
poof.
It's cool too because nowadays all the government organizations have websites. So like the trademark search, you can go up there and check all the stuff and all different organizations like that to be able to actually check the database before you establish your name. Because like even for me, when I was picking my name, Baseface, it was there was a lot of contenders out there and a lot of people that had the name Baseface, but they didn't have it trademarked. So I knew that I was good. But at the time, I had changed the spelling of my name to basically come up number one on Google because I have a little bit of background and that type of stuff, and it helps.
And by the way, when you do a preliminary search, you could even go to the trademark office with the
That,
uspto.gov,
yep.
and
Or
you
you
can
can
do a
type,
basic search.
yeah, you can go on Google and just even type in trademark search and skip all the ads, of course. There's
Yeah.
all the Google ads. You got to go underneath that, and then it'll come up, and you can just say, "Hey, click basic search, look for the name or phrase or whatever it is that you're looking for, and see if it's trademarked." Sometimes you'll even see that it comes up in the system, but it could be live, which means that you
Or
can't use it, or it's dead, meaning that it was abandoned.
Right. And with trademarks, it's different than a lot of things. In trademarks, somebody can have your exact name, but if it's in a different business or things like that, you could still use the same name. I mean, God, how many Mama's pizzas are there in the country? But you get localized and this and stuff. But yeah, I don't trust the search totally. A lawyer's going to go much deeper because just because you looked it up in search and you don't see it, it could have already been started someplace. Or like with this band this woman wanted to use, they never had trademarked it, but they've been going since the 70s and they're still going. It was a punk rock band and they just never trademarked it. But it doesn't matter. If you show precedence that thing, it's going to be almost impossible to get a name that's been used over and over and over and over again and popular.
Yeah,
So
and that's an important thing. I feel like that's one thing we should kind of highlight real quick is that like choosing whether you're artist, singer, producer, engineer, like having your name, unless you're using like your legal birth name, like having like a moniker like mine, Baseface, like if you're gonna choose something like that, you got to take the time and nurture it because you don't want to be out there promoting it and then all of a sudden you switch your name and then you switch your name again.
What a
Where
mess.
it's like I don't even know what they go by anymore because they switch their name 4 different times in their career, and it's like hard to keep up with. You know, you want to keep it simple for people.
Yeah, well, one of the first things when I'm doing a contract, I'll say, "Oh, I need your legal name and what's your stage name." One rapper had 6 different names. You're going to confuse everybody, and you're going to have a mess
Yeah.
unless you're like Diddy, who's well known and could change his name. Or
You know what's funny? I ran into some people that even have that name. They go by Diddy, and it's like you can't go by Diddy when you can't pick the biggest person on earth that it made in the music industry and then use their name and be like, oh, that's what people call me. It's like you got to pick something else. Like that. At least that's just my opinion on that. Like.
oh boy, yeah, they don't even try. You're wasting time, effort, money on pushing a name that you're not going to be able to use because as soon as your name's known, Diddy, for that example, is going to cut the manager will. You cannot use this. Cease using this name. We have a trademark. Da, da, da,
Yeah,
da,
it's
da.
like me trying to use the name Biggie Smalls. It's like we already know that Biggie Smalls exists. So how
Well,
is
you're Biggie, but you're not the Smalls. You're not
it?
as heavy as he was.
Yeah, it's like it's so funny. Like how like bringing it back to that. Like you have to make sure that you take your time and pick your name. I mean, I've had people get mad at me, yell at me. You take so long trying to pick a name. It's just a name. Just pick it. And I'm like, no, 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 no. It's
It's going
the
to last your
brand.
life.
It's yes, exactly. It's your brand, and I know that I'm going to be doing music for the rest of my life. So it's kind of like if I'm not taking that serious and taking the time to figure out exactly what I want to be known as, then there's no point in even just getting it out there. I was just going by my last name for a while because it was like it took me 8 months of trying to search for a name where I was just sitting one day and I scratched my face and I was thinking of like the bass guitar and I was like, wow, bass face. And then I looked it up and boom, that was it. It's funny. And when you least expect it is usually when it happens.
Yeah, when you're not trying so hard, it's like sitting down and trying to write a song. Don't do that. Just wait till something hits you and then jump on it. It's just try. You can go nuts, when you put pressure on yourself trying to come up with it. But yeah, you want to hopefully have the name for the rest of your life. By the way, what's come in handy to me too is, well, it helps. I mean, my site, professorpooch.com, was started in 2001, which was 20 years ago.
Wow.
Well, yeah, it's a 20th birthday on June 21st, I think, or June 12th, I forget. But it's the 20th year, but people can keep looking at it. I keep getting clients, who are old clients that were able to find me because I didn't change my phone number. I mean, I've had the same landline since the 80s and my cell since the 90s. So, yeah, in around the late 90s, I guess. And the same number, you want consistency so people could find you.
Yeah,
If you
I never got rid of my phone number. I still have that same number. It's been about probably I got my first cell phone when I was probably in 7th or 8th. I think actually 6th or 7th grade. So what was I 13?
wow.
Yeah, so I've had it for a long time and that's something that I plan to keep too because the same thing is like I realized I was like, wow, people just hit me up and say, "Hey, is this still Baseface?" And I'm like, "Yup, it's me." Like before you know
Yeah.
it, they're back in the studio.
Yeah, I've had clients call me after like 15, 20 years and say, wow, I found you, because you can't keep jumping around. I mean, I've lived in the same house for 38 years. Yeah. So keep consistency is just so important. Oh boy. Yes. Yes.
That's the whole part. That's why if you are not good with branding or marketing or don't even want to like take the time to learn it, that's why you need to hire a professional like marketer, branding person, just to be able to take your brand and be able to put it everywhere. Because like Pooch's site has been on there since 2001. I mean, when you look up Professor Pooch, he's the first one to come up no matter what for like the first 10 pages. So it's like a lot of people, it takes a long time to be able to rank on search engines like that. So there's certain people you could hire to be able to do it, but it takes time. And if you keep it consistent and you run with it, and you're confident in what you chose, then you'll be able to be found all over the place.
Yeah, and by the way, you brought up an important point with the that reminded me. I was with websites. Whoever's doing your website, what's very important is what is known as SEO. Okay.
What I was hinting at, basically.
Say that again.
I said that's what I was hinting at.
Yes, the SEO, search engine optimization. Now, most people use Google. It's the most used, Chrome. Google Chrome is like 70 or 80% of it and stuff like that. You need somebody who, when they do your site, takes care of these SEO kinds of things, because Google will change their search things every 6 months or so, and certain things that worked 2 years ago to have certain keywords or whatever it is, I don't know it enough. That's why I hire somebody.
It's complex. It's very, very complex, and
Oh my God.
within itself. But it's based on being able, like, the more pages that you have with your name, like, the higher you rank. So if you, like, for instance, if you look me up BACEFACE and my specific spelling, BACEFACE, I'm the first and only person that comes up for 10 pages, because one, I'm on every single social media, every single digital streaming platform, so you can go through and see everything. And even I have pages on, but when I was working with Live Nation, I had my own artist page on Live Nation's site, and you can go through and see all that. So the more pages and the more services that you sign up for, over time, the higher you will rank, because it'll be like, oh, when Google crawls the internet, it'll be like, oh, this person is important and they're active, so let's make sure that they get up there.
And that's just like another important thing is what is known as backlinks.
Yes.
Get as many people as possible to link to your page. It's going to help you up there. Yeah. And that's what helped me, is because people through all these years have linked me to all these different things. So I'm up there because believe it or not, there is another Professor Pooch, but it's a cartoon character in a kiddie book, kind of a thing. And mine's going to go up there because it's so many links and so many things, and I don't have to worry about that because I'm not a cartoon character. Well, I am kind of a cartoon character, I guess, because I'm a walking brand. But yeah, it's just super important to have somebody that knows what the hell they're doing. That's why if I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I'm going to go to somebody who does, instead of trying to screw things up myself. Let somebody else screw it up or something.
Exactly. It's important. It's like sometimes it's like, I know it's like, especially when you're coming up in your career, you want to save money as much as you can and be able to allocate it properly, but you can't always do everything yourself. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. So that's one I've run into, and I've just had to hire people to be like, all right, well, you do this, and that's what you do, and that's just one thing less I have to worry about,
That's true. And I'm not going to, build your strengths, have whatever your weaknesses are. Instead of playing with them, go to somebody where your weakness is their strength, and that's why you have teams. I work with, God, I feel like I'm a part of, I don't know, 100, 200, I don't know. I don't care. But families that we work together, we're like teams, families, whatever you want to call it. And we all have our position in the flow of an artist's career, and it's just like that. It's that simple.
Yeah, but each one of those people have their own specific set of skills that they do best or they do not so good, and that's why you have to be honest with yourself, and self-awareness is huge in that sense.
Well, I really made it very simple. I could handle creative, business, and legal. Technical, I'm going to come to you.
Yeah.
or, I mean, I do know a half decent amount, but that's not good enough, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when it comes to changing out your hard drives and stuff like that, I mean, there's
Oh my
really,
God. Yeah. I said, here, help, help. You put RAM in my computer. Well, computers, and my computer, as strange as it is, it's a tower that's my son originally put together. He says, Dad, you need this, I just put it together. I have no idea what you're talking about. Just throw it together,
believe it or
make
not,
it work.
you wouldn't even be able to I mean, believe it or not, that knowing computers the way I do has helped so much being an engineer, because it's like, oh, we have technical difficulties, I don't need to call the tech guy, I can problem solve it myself. So for people that are, especially nowadays in the time that we live in, computers and technology are just only growing immensely. Like, we've had more progress in the last 100 years, technologically speaking, than the entire existence of mankind. I mean, back in the day, they made the wheel and they thought it was a big deal. Nowadays, every other year, there's a brand new phone that's more.
Oh yeah, because of computers and technology has just skyrocketed everything at an amazing, insane thing where, oh my God, where every artist could put out whatever they want to put out whenever they want to put out. And that's why the old rule of, well, see what everybody else is doing on the radio and do that. No, because next day it could change and you're already,
Yeah.
be yourself, push your strengths.
And actually, that's actually funny, because we can even tie the two things together. We're talking about, like, the stuff on the radio and branding. So, like, the things that you hear on the radio have already been planned out 6 months beforehand. So if you're trying to emulate what's on the radio right now because Justin Bieber or any of these top artists dropped a brand new song, you're like, oh my God, I love that. They've been sitting on that for the last 6 months, and they were building their marketing strategy to be able to release it properly. So if you're going after the sound that's out right now, you're already 6 months behind. So you have to either build your own sound or try to predict what's next in the next 6 months, and try to get ahead of it.
Yep. Well, I also ran into a problem. Well, it's because way back I was always like doing that ahead of the time, and people were catching up and stuff like that. It was really weird, but that's why we do the show. So you keep in mind all these things, and sometimes you have to hear it from someplace else. It's like I might say, gee, I think about this, and I see somebody else say it, somebody else say, oh, okay, then I'm not totally crazy. It helps to get verified by other people.
Yeah,
different things.
for sure. And I mean, it's also important to take care of a lot of the stuff that you need to take care of. Like, a lot of people nowadays, they have short attention spans, and they're really trying to rush everything. And I've even had people recently, like, I've made music with them, right? And I haven't heard from them in a while, and blah blah blah. And then out of nowhere, the music that we made is released, and they're promoting it. And I never got hit up. 2, the paperwork was never done. 3, there's no promotion on it. They just dropped it the same day, and it's kind of like, whoa. Well, I mean,
yeah, and they're not going to make any money out of it because they're not registered in the right places. They're probably not, protected in any way.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just interesting to me, because if you're gonna do this, you got to do it right. I mean, at least that's my opinion. I mean, why wouldn't you want to do it right? I mean, if you were going out there, if you were going out there and you were going to go give your car to a mechanic, you don't want the mechanic to be half doing the job that he's supposed to be doing, because you want it rushed. It doesn't make sense. So you're gonna drive down the road, and your wheels are gonna fall off.
And people have to realize all you have in this industry and what you're known as is your name.
Yes.
And too many people say, hey man, that's I got some good songs. Man, there's a lot of good songwriters. There's a lot of good artists. You don't want to be good. You want to be great. You want to be, outstanding, where you stand out, from the others and stuff like that. And if you're copying what's exactly on the radio, like you were saying, I mean, it's not going to stand out. It's not going to jump you out like a Billie Eilish. All of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, folks.
I feel like that's also predicated, in my opinion, a lot on being real. I mean, like, you can tell the difference between, like, a song that was just forced and a song that was like, wow, that person is really speaking their truth. And those are the songs that really become classics and get played 20 years from now. You know, and people aren't realizing that. A lot of people are just trying to make music to release now so that their friends can play it, but your friends are not going to be the ones to really help you get there, because they're too close to you to be able to really give you a proper opinion. It's everybody else you're supposed to really get the feedback from when it comes to like that type of stuff.
Yeah, my saying always has been, your friends and relatives are good to pack a place when you're doing a show. That's what they're good for. But their opinions could be biased one way or another. They may go, oh yeah, you're great, you're great, you're great. That's might not helpful, or that sucks because they're jealous, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, friends and relatives don't count. And matter of fact, the hardest people to ever play in front of are your friends and relatives.
Yeah.
God, with parents and stuff like that.
Yeah. I had a home studio at my house, and like, you know, I've like, I'm the oldest and I have three little sisters, so it's like, and my mom and dad were always around, so like I'd be in my room working on music, and if I'm working with a client, that was perfectly fine. But if I was in the room trying to sing or like work out a song that I wrote, I would know that other people are in the house can hear me, and I would just be completely uncomfortable. That's really one of the
And
reasons I got my place.
you wouldn't be you, because you wouldn't be letting out, because you're not thinking of your song, you're thinking of, God, who can hear me?
Exactly.
You know,
And
I
people,
know it's weird. You just got to zone them out, you know, and
yeah,
oh boy.
yeah, that's why it's good to have your own little sanctuary, your own little space where you can be free.
Yeah.
That's really why I got this place. I mean, as you can see, there's been a lot of developments in this room, and I brought it from nothing to something.
Oh
So
yeah, what a difference. What a
you know,
difference. Yeah. Yeah, it's what a difference. Yep, it's like this is the third floor of my house.
yeah.
You know, and it's all mine. It's just equipment. It's nothing else. The only people ever come up are my cat and my wife. But she knows when I'm recording and leaves me alone. You know, so and the cat's going to do what it wants to do. You know, cats. You don't tell a cat. It's like my thing is always, you know, people own dogs, cats own people. You know, cats, you know, cats have staff to be there for what you want, you know, what they want you to do, you know.
Yeah,
But whatever.
animals are a trip for sure. They're funny. They're funny. It's like they can't speak, but you know exactly what they're trying to say.
Oh yeah, they let you know too. All right, so let's get into some things today. And I was coming up with, you keep running into these terms you hear, whether on contracts, whether they're in the news and stuff like this. Like, I think it was Fleetwood Mac on something.
The TikTok,
Mac himself. Yeah, huh?
the TikTok.
No, not that one. But after that, Mick Fleetwood, I think it was the drummer. Um, he sold his, you know, his publishing, but he also sold what is known as neighboring rights.
Hmm.
And people think, what the hell is neighboring rights in music? Because you would think, neighbor, what? Well, it is kind of a neighbor kind of thing. And what I'll explain is, you hear performance rights, and then there's what is known as neighboring rights. Performance rights is for the song, neighboring rights is for the artist and recording. Now, what that means is he owned the sound recordings on certain things, and you know, the performance of the recording, so the artist and the record company get paid. Now, where it gets really screwy is you could sell neighboring rights for other countries, but you can't do it in the United States for a very strange reason. You can now, but for years you couldn't do anything. What that means is that with neighboring rights, let's say, all right, let's use AM/FM radios, you know, your regular landline radio kind of stuff like that. Forever, they pay the songwriter and publisher when a song is being played, but they don't pay the artist or record company. Now, what was happening, it got all screwy. It's been held in committee with Congress for so many years. They just don't pass it through, where the radio stations also have to pay the artist and the record company. But in other countries, they pay the artist and record company. There's only 4 countries, well, I guess you could call it civilized countries: United States, Syria, China, and North Korea, I believe, do not pay the artist and record company. Excuse me, they probably pay only the songwriter and publisher. But around the world, you could sell the neighboring rights. So when your song is played, that's for the publishing company. But if you own the sound recording, you could sell the neighboring rights so that other, that they pay you for when your recordings are played. It pays the artist and the record company. And one of these days, well, what they try to do is, what they're saying, and this is why a lot of United States artists want to change this. And by the way, it's been since the 1970s that they've tried to change this. Frank Sinatra, I think, was one of the first, believe it or not, in the 70s. Say, hey, why aren't we paying me? I'm the artist. I didn't write the song, But what's happening is the other countries won't pay United States artists when they play their stuff because we don't pay their artists. Now, they came up with this fair play, fair pay, and I don't know what's happening with it. It does help you if you have a friend or somebody you could say it's coming from a different country, so you actually get paid this kinds of stuff. But these are the kinds of terms that show up. So you now know what neighboring rights is. It covers the artist and the performer. Then another thing that comes up a lot is called safe harbors. You're going to see this around. It's what allows YouTube and a lot of these other, digital service providers to get away with a lot of stuff. Let's say an artist places something on YouTube and they didn't own the song or didn't own the recording. They just got them to play it. Well, the way it was settled in the 90s, I believe, well, YouTube they're held harmless because it's a safe harbor. Hey, they just put the stuff on. We can't be responsible for what we play that somebody else gives us. We can't keep up with these billions of people every day and all this stuff of what, they shouldn't, why should we get in trouble if they used a sample or they didn't have the right to do it? It's a safe harbor. So they're held harmless. So let's go into held harmless for a second here now. You're going to see this in a lot of contracts. It'll say indemnify and held harmless. And I mean, I put it into all my things. Let's say an artist is hiring a beat maker. Well, what it's going to say is you got to say that it's if you used a sample, you cleared it, you cleared it. We want to be indemnified. We want to be held harmless from you not telling the truth and saying it's your own song and you got it from somebody else or something like that. That's what indemnify and held harmless. And it should be both ways. You're going to see it a lot of times in contracts. You got to hold us harmless, but it should be both ways. Like, let's say with a manager saying, well, anything you do that's crooked or you hold us harmless. And I say, it's got to go both ways. If you, the manager, do something you shouldn't do, it's not going to fall on my artist that I'm representing. It's got to be two ways. You want to be held harmless? Well, we want to be held harmless too if you do something illegal or screw up in some manner and fact.
So which does happen. So don't write it off just yet because anything is possible in this world. We're all human beings, and a lot of people get, like how you say, people change people, and situations change people. So no.
And look what's happened. Some people have been kicked off labels, kicked off stuff for saying and doing the wrong things because, they're saying and doing things they shouldn't be doing. I mean, there's stuff in the news all the time about that kinds of things. By the way, I always use it as an example of Held Harmless as the producer is using a loop or that they got from somebody else or a sample. And of course, the artist or whatever wants to be held harmless. Well, I just ran into a situation, one of my clients, he's losing a big chunk of publishing he could have had because he used a sample, and the people, instead of paying him, are paying the people. They're clearing the sample, so they're paying the person who did the original and stuff, and he lost out on a lot of stuff. My thing is, folks, make your own samples, make your own loops, and don't take from somebody else. It just causes problems, because what people don't understand about samples, you not only have to get clearance from the songwriter and publisher, you also have to get, excuse me, clearance from the record company. You're taking a sample of sound. It's not just a sample of a song, it's sample of sound,
Yeah. And I find that there's two things that go with that. I mean, one, that's a huge thing that people don't understand. Like, they use like either loops or samples, and they think, oh, that's fine. It doesn't sound anything like the original. No, you still use something that you didn't own, so therefore you needed to have it cleared. Oh, otherwise you end up with a lawsuit. And I've heard the side of the coin where it's like, oh, that doesn't sound anything like the original. But in the court of law, and the copyrights are only the lyrics and the melody. So whether any of those things are being used, what I mean, it doesn't matter what you did with it. If it didn't come from you and your creative mind, then you're most likely going to get in trouble.
Well, the funny thing about that, I mean, because I'm a writer and arranger, and I've done producing and stuff like that. If I do anything that even sounds like something I had done before, I won't use it. Yeah, no way that I'm going to write another song using some other one of my songs, whatever. That bass line even. I said, boy, that bass line sounds familiar. Wait a minute, I already used that. It, to me, is no fun in it, man. It should be, creating something new. That's fun.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I get it. Like, especially in the 90s, there was a huge emphasis on sampling. And there's just sometimes just like a vibe that taking a sample and flipping it, like things like Kanye West have done. And there's just like a certain vibe and element that just really just it hits you differently. But I mean, it's okay to use samples and stuff like that, but like, don't base everything that you do off of that because you're too lazy to go and learn how to play a piano and make a melody or whatever the case may be. Like, you have to really showcase who you are, and I think that's the most important part about music, is that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's really what sounds good to you.
Yep. All right, let's look at another term. And by the way, that's one of the things that I love doing for people. And that is taking these terms and putting it into simple language for you. Now, here's a term you're going to hear a lot in the music industry. And it's going to show up sometimes in talks, sometimes in contracts and stuff like that. It's called all in. You'll hear the term all in, ALLIN. Now, it sounds like, wait, all in. What do you mean by that? See, what they don't want to tell you, let's put it this way. But all in is like a record company only wants to give out a certain amount of royalties. So let's say they're giving the artist 15% for this or that, or what, percents don't matter. When they say all in, it means if there's any other people involved, it's going to come out of your money. By the way, producers are always all in through the artist. The artist pays for the producer in effect. The back end points, like we've been talking about, the producer maybe get 3 or 4 points or whatever. And the back end percentage points of retail selling price, that's what points are. And all of a sudden, well, let's look at the money flow. And I'm going to show you how everything comes out of the artist. Now, Initially, what happens is, let's say a record company sold something. And what they do is, first thing they do with that money that comes in, they have to pay the publisher. And that's why publishing is where you make a lot of your money, the publishing and the songwriting, because all the initial money comes out of there. And then the record company starts recouping money. They don't pay anybody else until they get all their money back. And oh God, you should see my contracts with how much they can write out. You know, it could be food, travel costs. I don't know if they do it for cocaine and weed they provide and stuff like that. I don't know how they write that off, but miscellaneous expenses or whatever.
They pay cash for those things.
Oh, I can tell you funny stories about that stuff, and we'll talk about it sometime. But but the serious part of it is they're not going to pay anybody else besides the publisher until they get all their money back. Then the money goes down to where the artist would make money. But before they start paying the artist money, they're going to pay back the advance, if any, that they paid the producer. And then they're going to take out, producers get paid. It's very funny. Even though they have to wait till all this money is recouped through sales and everything like that, the producer gets paid usually retroactively to sale number one. So let's say they sold 50,000 or 100,000 recordings, whatever, and they're going to get that money back, you know, but then they'll pay the producer from the beginning. So the artist still isn't making money because of the all-in thing. The producer, the manager, etc., get paid by the artist. The artist is the low person on the totem pole. That's a bad part of working with majors, by the way, even though if you're the artist, you want to recoup your expenses before you pay the producer and stuff like that. So the money comes down, but the producer gets paid. Then the money goes to the artist, but they might have to pay the manager. If there's a manager, that's off the top. It's off the gross of what the artist is going to get. So after the producer and the manager are paid, the artist then gets what's left to pay what they're supposed to be getting paid, their percentage and stuff like that. So that's what all in is. It means the artist has to pay for everybody else, you know, except for the publisher. That's why publishing and songwriting are so important, because the record company can't recoup money. They have to pay the publisher and stuff. And like we talked earlier in the show, the publisher and the songwriter are getting paid by these FM, AM, FM radio stations, but the record company in the United States is not getting paid that money. That's why that publishing and thing is so important. But going back again to the, neighboring rights. Neighboring rights still can be collected in the United States, but only from, you know, from the Spotify's, Pandora's, and other stuff from the internet. They can't, it's not like with AM, FM radio where they don't pay. At least there is neighboring rights. There are neighboring rights, correct English, in the United States, but it's for, you know, just for the internet usage and satellite radio and things like that. That's why I was going through these different terms with, you know, I want you to know these different terms like neighboring rights, because you're going to run into them and you want to sound like you've been in the industry for a while, and you'll be more respected that way, and not be, you know, not being used by as many people, because you know what's going on. They'll say, oh, I can't rip them off, and it keeps away the bottom feeders, the one trying to steal your stuff, and you'll be treated with more respect. So there are certain terms you should learn, and one of the major things we're doing with these shows is keeping you up to date with everything. My books and courses cover all the primer, all the basics and stuff. And with these shows on top of it, you're getting a complete education. And with these shows on how to use the knowledge you've learned, and also to be very up to date on what's happening in the world of music. So I know we're probably running out of time. So before they shut me off or whatever, I'm just going to say, unless you have something else to add, or you can add it after me or whatever, I'll just say, tune in for the next episode, folks.
Hey guys, thank you again for liking, subscribing, and tuning in every week for our podcast. We have more and more people joining every day, and I just want to remind everyone that it's okay to start from the beginning and go through, because all of this stuff is cumulative, and in the end, it'll all make sense. But I mean, if some people I know that listen to the show jump around, or some other people, I've guided them to start from the beginning to the end. So just kind of just do what what works best for you, and just continue to like, share, subscribe, and spread the word. So
yeah, so you get the whole picture of everything. And yes, they're loading now a daily episode at a time on Facebook also, folks. Facebook video, so you can catch this Facebook video, or video is also on YouTube, and audio every place else. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next episode.